Enrico says, get a steel plate for your seed phrase. Fire in SoCal is scary. Yeah, that's a good opportunity here. Let's bring up this quickly. The show is going to be a little bit shorter today. I started early because I started late yesterday. So we got to cut the show a little bit early. We got a meeting at in an hour from now. So I guess that's not really that short. When I started the show here, the shows were 10 or 15 minutes long. So maybe we're actually long. So anyways, if you're looking for a steel plate, if you want a better way to protect your seed phrase, your recovery phrase, kind of the natural progression here. Let me take this off for a sec. I talked about this on one of our 365 days of Bitcoin. Yesterday, actually, I did a full show talking about private keys, recovery phrases, how to store them, some tips, best practices. So that was day 9 of 365 days of Bitcoin. But kind of what I talked about on the episode, I'll give you a Cole's notes on it. So I think that people, when they first get into Bitcoin, like their first step, when you set up a wallet, every wallet comes with a recovery phrase. So if you have a device like a phone or a laptop or a hardware device, you're backing that up in case something were to happen to that device. So let's say I had my Bitcoin wallet on my phone and I lost my phone or it just stopped working. And keep in mind that the shelf life on some of the hardware devices like Jade's, to me, Jades are great. Like I absolutely love the security that Jade has. It doesn't store your private keys on the device at all, which is awesome. But like a Jade, a Cold Card, all these devices aren't going to last forever, right? They have a shelf life. Some of them have a battery, some of them just the technology and how, what's the word I'm looking for here? Devices just die over time. Some of them have 5 years, 10 years, but the recovery phrase is meant to back that up in case something happens to that. Whether you lose it, whether it just stops working, whether you have a fire, whatever it is. So you should absolutely, the first thing you should be doing is get a piece of paper, like a nice piece of paper, not just like a flimsy notepad or anything like that. Like get a nice piece of paper and write your seed phrase on there. Put this in the safe, put it in a safe place. This is kind of like your first step within Bitcoin. Paper. It's better than nothing, but it's not the best option there. And then you kind of progress to a steel plate. You put the exact same words on a steel plate in case of fire, like we're talking about here, or in case of flood, any water damage. You keep the steel plate with your 12 or 24 word recovery phrase on it. So with that, if you're looking for something like that, a hardware device and the steel plate, this comes with the stamp seed. So you have the 12, 24 words. You can put it on there. You got the guide. You got the letters, the anvil, and of course, the hammer. So this is from our friends at QuickBit in Regina. And so this is a 425 Canadian, very, very good deal. And if you use 88 Sats discount code, you get 15% off of that. So that's if you're looking to get your recovery phrase on steel to protect it from all of the elements. This is what it looks like. This is the starter kit right here from QuickBit. Nice special edition box. Probably going to fall over and dump my coffee here. But it's got a jade. It's got the... Holy, this is heavy. This is heavy. This is the hammer. Heavy. I wasn't prepared for this. Look at this thing. You could stamp your seed in or protect yourself with this thing. So that's kind of like the high-priced item within this set. That's the stamp seed in there. So you go from nice paper. And by the way, these things are not good. And I actually posted on Nostr, I tagged NVK in it, and I said, please stop including these wallet backup cards with the cold cards because they're shitty. They're so small. They're so easy to lose. You can't write on there. You can't read what you're writing on there. I've had friends and people I've helped who have lost this card and lost access to their Bitcoin because this thing's so shitty. So I said, make it better or just don't put it in there. So even if you have one of these, don't put your backup phrase on this because these things are so easy to lose. Put it on like a nice piece of paper that you can put in the safe that you're never going to lose. And when you need it, you have your recovery phrase. So you go from paper to steel, and steel should cover most things for a long time. But then when you have the sufficient knowledge and kind of know how to do some things, that's when you start encrypting your recovery phrase and all of your private digital information within SuperBacked. So that's kind of like the evolution there. But make sure, if nothing else, get it on a nice piece of paper and go from there. So that has been recovery phrases with Jor. Flash memory, that's what I'm looking for, Craig. So those devices, their flash memory, which is used in most hardware wallets, degrades over time before failing around 10 years. So you want to get something in place before that. It's not a rush. You get a hardware device, you get it on paper, you're good for a while. But over time, you want to start thinking about a really good way to protect and encrypt your recovery phrases in case something were to happen to your device. That's when you're going to need that. So even with SuperBacked and Steel, like you still need the device there, your wallet, your laptop, or your hardware device. But this just backs it up. I got Arnie hair in my mouth. Freaking hair everywhere. There is hair everywhere. Good morning, Ginger. Good morning, my friend. Mert says, software ruling the world clearly since 20 years. It would be weird for software world still stuck in an old monetary system. We have clever products thanks to technology. Why not engineered money? Well, we do now, thankfully. But it is pretty crazy how far we've come technologically, and we didn't have a good money for the whole time. But it's tough. Like if you think about all the thought and things that went into creating Bitcoin, like there's a lot of things to deal with there when you're worried about digital stuff. So again, it is a whole evolution. That's the other thing I would say is like when you first get into Bitcoin, and even if you're somewhat new to Bitcoin, even if you're experienced in Bitcoin, understand that your security setup is always going to be evolving. This isn't something you just set up and you put away for 20 years and hopefully it works in 20 years and hopefully you remember what to do. This is something that you got to check in on every couple months, probably, I would suggest, and pay attention to what's going on. Subscribe to some like privacy and security things. That's part of like the SuperBacked protocol that Craig and I offer, is like weekly security bulletins to make you aware of the threats out there and what you can be doing for them. So that's included in the whole package there. Yeah. Danny says, fires happen so fast. Have your backup QR code where you can get it no matter what happens. Exactly. And so the last thing I'll say about like the SuperBacked encryption, and I mean steel, titanium, I think the seed plate is titanium, which is supposedly better than steel. But that's the other thing I'd say to that is like if you go through this whole process over time and you get to the point where you want to be in your security setup, something happens to your house and you have SuperBacked or steel. SuperBacked, you should disperse your QR codes with some friends and in other geographical locations. And then all you need is one password to remember. You put that in steel. And so if your whole house burns down, all your devices, all your cell phones, all your laptops, you can still recover your Bitcoin easily. You go grab a QR code from wherever you left it, you put in your password, and your private key appears. Your secret appears. So that's why I love that.